Every single new Pokemon game releases new evolutions for older Pokemon, and these are often fan favorites. Pokemon like Mamoswine and Weavile are ones that I'm personally quite fond of, and many of these are beloved by fans. Gen 10 will surely release some more new evolutions for old Pokemon, and I'm going to go ahead and look at one Pokemon from every single generation that I think would be a fantastic candidate for a new evolution in Gen 10. All of these examples are going to be Pokemon with only two-stage evolution lines, so they evolve once and have space for a third evolution. I think that these are often good candidates, especially ones that have been left behind by power creep and haven't received a lot of attention in recent games. First up, we have a Gen 1 candidate. I think that a Golduck evolution is long overdue. Golduck has always been one of my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. I really like it, despite the fact that it is a pretty average water type. Even back when it was released, it was quite average. Its stats are really underwhelming for modern standards. And I know not every Pokemon is supposed to have amazing stats, but I think that a Golduck evolution would be cool. I mean, first of all, Psyduck is one of the franchise's greatest mascots. This is actually one of the most popular Pokemon in the world, so I think it would make sense to breathe some new life into the Psyduck line and give it some new stuff. It's kind of crazy that they haven't for so long. Golduck has received buffs over the years like Swift Swim, which actually gave it a bit of viability at certain points in the last few gens as a pretty solid Swift Swim attacker. Usually Kingdra's better, but Golduck has its place for that purpose. I don't know, I think a Golduck evolution, there's design space there. This guy's long overdue for some sort of stat increase, and I think you could make something really cool out of this. The obvious idea would be like a water psychic type fast special threat of some sort, maybe with Swift Swim, which would be a little bit unique, wouldn't it, compared to other Swift Swim users. Water psychic's not a great typing, but Golduck has the psychic theming going on. And there's ways they could make a Pokemon like that good and successful, or at least interesting. For my Gen 2 candidate, I think that Lanturn would be a beautiful choice for a new evolution. Lanturn is a wonderful Pokemon design all around, in my opinion. Love the visual. Very simple, but cute and a little bit iconic. This is a fan favorite, one of those underdog Pokemon that people like, but it hasn't really received much in the way of buffs or anything new for a very long time. And I think this is a great foundation for a successful evolution. It's got a water-electric typing, which is quite good. It has two abilities. It can choose from Volt Absorb and Water Absorb. Both are excellent and offer different immunities. And it has an interesting stat distribution too, with high HP of base 125 and fairly average stats everywhere else. I think that some sort of bulky water electric type with high HP and a little bit of a stat increase elsewhere, probably just with the same abilities to be honest, Volt Absorb and Water Absorb. An evolution for Lanturn is an easy potential slam dunk in my opinion. And I think a Pokemon like this could be a great presence, especially if it's similar to how Lanturn itself functions with a fairly limited move pool. I mean, Lanturn doesn't have any good immediate healing options. It has Rest Talk on this set example, but that's about it. It has Scald and Volt Switch for stab options that also do a little bit more. You can pivot with Volt Switch and spread burn with Scald. And it has a good special move pool with options like Ice Beam for coverage. I like the Pokemon. I like all of its traits already. I think all this would need is a bit of a stat increase and you could have a cool, successful Pokemon on your hands, for sure. For a Gen 3 candidate that would make for a good evolution, Mightyena. This is a Pokemon that has been terrible ever since its release, and I think that there's a mismatch between how it looks and how it actually operates in-game. This Pokemon looks powerful. It looks like it could hurt you, but in actuality, it's just terrible. Its stats are very poor. Even for its Gen 3 debut, it was bad. Also, it's received barely anything over the years. It has Moxie as a hidden ability. It's quite good, but it doesn't even get knockoff in its moveset. It gets Sucker Punch, but that's just not that impressive. I mean, I don't know, folks. I know that Mightyena is a Route 1 Pokemon, and often Route 1 Pokemon are not supposed to be good, but some of them are. And I think that Mightyena could make for a cool evolution, and there's so much you could do with it. I mean, in its state right now, it's just a Dark type with Intimidate and Moxie and some physical attacks. It's like the world is your oyster with a Mightyena evolution. You could go in any direction, give it a completely new type combo, give it a signature ability of some sort, give it like move pool buffs, stat buffs in any direction. There is so much they could do with this. I know we've got plenty of dark type attackers in the game already, but this one could have like interesting ability variety, or maybe it could be some sort of bulky attacker. I don't know. You could go anywhere with this. And I think that Mightyena deserves something. This Pokemon has gotten nothing in years. And it's cool. It looks like it should be a threat, but it's not. It's one of those Pokemon. So this would be my candidate. Give Mightyena some love in Gen 10. My candidate for Gen 4 would be Toxicroak. I think that this Pokemon deserves a bit of a love. Toxicroak has not had the worst competitive career of all time. It's had some viability in the past. In Generation 5, it is ranked OU, actually, even though I think this is quite an outdated ranking. Not very accurate to modern times. Toxicroak is decent in this format relative to everywhere else because of its ability Dry Skin, which is a very good ability in Gen 5. Permanent Rain can be set by Polytoad, so Dry Skin, with its effect of basically Water Absorb combined with Rain Dish. It gets the 1/8 chip heal in the rain, and it gets water immunity and a healing effect if struck by a water move. It's got both of those effects in one, kind of an amazing ability. The only issue is that in Sun, you get hurt, you take damage in the sun, and you also take more damage from fire type attacks, so the effects are inverted in the sun, and you're at a disadvantage. Interesting ability design. I've always liked this ability design, and it's a decent choice in Gen 5 because rain is really good and sun is rarely ever seen, so it's almost all upside. The thing is, even in Gen 5, Toxicroak isn't the best thing in the world. It has very, very average stats. Its highest stat is its attack of 106. It's okay, it's usable, but not the best. Its typing is Poison Fighting, which is also an interesting typing. I like this type combo. We've of course seen this on Sneasler, but that Pokemon was very overtuned. Toxicroak is a more honorable Poison Fighting type. And the move pool on this is just, it's got many of the punching moves. Drain Punch, Sucker Punch, Ice Punch. Sucker Punch in particular is quite good. Also gets Knockoff. It's got an okay physical move pool. Nothing broken or anything, just a fairly modest. Quite a bit of coverage, but nothing crazy. I think that you could keep this Pokemon mostly the same. Like same typing, Dry Skin, but just a bit of a stat increase, and I think that this Pokemon could be back to a decent position. Maybe as a interesting choice on rain teams again. I don't know, I mean, without permanent rain, this probably wouldn't be the best, but the water immunity is still valuable. This could be an anti-rain Pokemon, in fact. In doubles, you sometimes see Toxicroak for that purpose, because it is a Pokemon with access to Fake Out, and water immunity comes in handy when there's like Kyogre in the metagame and Pokemon like that, or other rain setters, maybe a Pelipper. But yeah, I think that like this Pokemon has really interesting traits, and it's the exact Pokemon they usually give evolutions to. This is sort of similar to Bishop. It was pretty good in the past, but it needed an update for the modern world, so they gave it a new evolution. Toxicroak, I think, is a perfect evolution candidate. I would love to see some sort of update on Toxicroak in Gen 10. For Gen 5, I would love to see an evolution of some sort for Golurk, because this is such a cool Pokemon that just never really did much competitively. I would like to see it have some new life breathed in. I would like to see it revitalized. I love all of this guy's traits. Its visual design is awesome. Ancient Golem guy, ground ghost typing fits very well with that. Like it's been awakened from its slumber and possessed by something. I also love the idea of a ground ghost sort of bulky attacker. We've never seen a Pokemon like that before. It's very unique, but you know, the stats are just too average. It's a bit too slow. It does have some good abilities like Iron Fist and No Guard, especially No Guard, a fairly rare ability. Really, I just think this is such a wonderful visual design that I wish they returned to in some form. And it's one of those unfortunate cool Pokemon that just sucked when it debuted and never got anything ever again, really. Those are always unfortunate cases. I think there's more to be done with this. I mean, all of its traits are very unique too. I think a more enhanced, buffed version of this could be a very fun presence in the Gen 10 competitive metagame, whenever that comes into existence. For Generation 6, I've gone with Pangoro. I would love to see a Pangoro evolution. Such a cool Pokemon that unfortunately isn't very relevant anywhere. Also, a typing we don't see too often. There's Scrafty is another dark fighting type that exists and is an okay Pokemon, but you know, not a competitively very popular choice. And there's of course Urshifu, who is maybe a little bit too powerful. I would like to see a modestly powerful dark fighting type, because I really like the type combo. You don't see it too often. And Pangoro is just awesome. Big Panda, it does look like a final stage. It looks really strong, but it was a bit underwhelming in its debut game of Gen 6, especially because Fairy type came out in this gen and it's times 4 weak to Fairy. That's kind of a huge problem with this type combo, but offensively it's a really cool combo. And I mean, I can imagine an evolution for Pangoro looking awesome. An even bigger panda? Could they make an even larger panda? I don't know if it's possible. This guy could have some awesome exclusive ability too. Right now it's just got Iron Fist for punching damage and Mold Breaker and Scrappy. Those are all well and good. They're all quite good abilities, but give this some sort of bamboo-themed technology. Give it an exclusive bamboo item. Give it the move Bamboo Bash. Incorporate bamboo into this fellow somehow. Yeah, I remember this Pokemon being a popular one when Gen 6 was like first being hyped up, and the Pokemon were being revealed for the first time pre-release, and people were excited about the panda and its evolution, but you haven't heard about this Pokemon in years, have you? It's sort of been forgotten to time. Maybe if not an evolution, give it a signature move, new ability, some sort of update. I want to see more of Pangoro because I like him. I like this guy. For Gen 7, I would love to see a Palossand evolution. I talked about this guy recently, actually, in my video about weird ghost types. And it's also the second ground ghost type referenced in this video, but Palossand is quite different to Golurk because Palossand is more of a bulky sort of utility wall with a emphasis on special attack. It's a very unique design all around. I love the visual so much of a possessed sandcastle. It's one of the more creative ones they've done in the past few games, to be honest. I've always thought this one stood out as a great idea. And imagine expanding upon this. It's a little castle. What if it, grows even further to a fortress? A big sand fortress. The imagination runs wild at the thought of a Palossand evolution. Even though the ability Water Compaction is very unique, it gets a defense boost if hit by a water move. It's not a very good idea. I mean, getting hit by a water move is probably devastating to your chances of survival. So I don't know. I think that they could make some sort of cool new ability themed around the castle theme in some way. And I also think because this guy's so unique in concept, like a special attacking bulky ground type with the shore up healing and these good special attacking stab options. For that reason, I would love to see an enhanced version of it that's more relevant in a competitive sense, because I think it would just be unique. It would be fun to play with a Pokemon like that. For Gen 8, selfishly, I would like to see a Centiskorch evolution. I don't think they'll do this. Centiskorch already feels kind of like a final stage to begin with, and compared to some of these, it's also not even that bad on the stats side. It has high attack and HP. But, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that when this came out in Gen 8, it was immediately not very good. I mean, Firebug typing is a lot to overcome. That's a poor type combo. And even though its stats are better than some of these I've mentioned in this video, I think that its stats are not up to modern standards, and if it did receive an evolution, that would be a bit of a help on the stats side. I just think this Pokemon is so cool. I love a physical bug fire type that's maybe got a bit of a bulkier presence to it. Fire Lash is a fun move. The visual design is so cool. I just want to see them expand on this, honestly, just selfishly. I would like to see more of this idea fleshed out. And Flash Fire is kind of just an auto-include fire type ability. Give this some unique ability that's better. Maybe keep fire immunity, but it does something else. Maybe it gets an attack boost if hit by a fire move or something like that. Make an even bigger bug. Make it on fire even more. Give me more of this. I would love to see more of Centiskorch. One of Gen 8's best Pokemon designs that unfortunately sort of got forgotten because of its average status in competitive. But yeah, love this Pokemon and would like to see more of it. And finally, a Gen 9 Pokemon that I'd like to see receive an evolution. And I know that, Gen 9 just came out, so it's a little strange to want an evolution for a Pokemon that did just come out, but I think that Scovillain is a good candidate. Because Scovillain is the first ever Grass Fire type in the whole series. A hotly anticipated new Pokemon with a debut type combination, and it was a little bit underwhelming power level wise. I mean, this Pokemon feels like a middle stage Pokemon. Its stats are pretty bad. It has 108 special attack and a very average everything else. It is a Chlorophyll Pokemon, and it is actually the first ever fire type Pokemon with Chlorophyll, which is really good because, it's boosted in the sun and it has fire stab, so it's potentially dishing out serious damage under the sun. Grass Fire is an amazing offensive combination that has been used on various Pokemon for years, like Flamethrower Giga Drain is a very common coverage combo. So having stab on both of those types is outstanding. It just kind of sucks. And by modern standards, it doesn't feel like a modern Pokemon. And it feels undercooked. It really feels like a middle stage. There's more to this that they could do. Scovillain itself, it's kind of small. It looks, like a teenager Pokemon. It looks adjacent to various middle stage Pokemon in every way, in its design, its stats, its power level, and its visual. It just feels like a middle stage all around. And I will say I love the concept, I love the name, the wordplay in the name. I like Angry Chili Pokemon as a Grass Fire type. It's got 2 heads. They're doing great things here, but imagine a 3rd stage. I think it would go insane. It would be a success. It might even shake the world to its core. But that would be my pick for Gen 9. Scovillain would deserve a new evolution in Gen 10. Are there any other Pokemon I haven't mentioned in this video that you think deserve a new evolution in the next Pokemon game? And do you agree or disagree with any of my picks here? Of all of these, I think the one I would like to see the most would be Golduck. I've always liked that Pokemon. I just want to see more from it. And it has literally been as long as it can be. I mean, Golduck is a Gen 1 Pokemon. Psyduck is an icon. I think it would just be an obvious choice from every POV, like a marketing point of view. A new duck, maybe incorporate more elements of Psyduck because it's iconic. That would sell a lot of merchandise, okay? That would do good work. Anyway, what do you think, folks? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you very much for watching. Also, signups are currently open for the biggest Gen 3 draft tournament of the year, Emerald Open. It's completely free to enter. Link is in the description if you're interested in that. Signups close in a couple days. Thank you, folks.